back to Chin Music, our baseball show at talknorth.com. Yes, the Twins have been non-competitive for a while now. This show still competes. We're still in there swinging. We're still trying to win games. And we do have some interesting things to talk about. There have been interesting developments in the organization. We'll get to them in the lineup today. Former Twins star Royce Smalley. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune and talknorth.com. This is talknorth.com. Best way to listen to this show or any show on the network. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
Scott for Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. What if your water was so amazing you literally bragged to strangers? With Connecticut, enjoy softer skin and hair, dishes and fixtures that shine like the sun, ice that sparkles like diamonds, and worry-free drinking water. All of this, plus 36 months, 0% financing. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Financing based on credit approval. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, this is Randy Shaver. Along with Kevin Gorg, we host the show Fantasy Huddle on Talk North. Each week, we're going to break down the matchups for the NFL season and try to give you the best chance to win your fantasy football games each and every week. Join us for Fantasy Huddle on Talk North.
And Chin Music is presented to you by Onyx Maps. We'll tell you more about Onyx Maps and our other sponsors here in a bit. Let's start with a couple of young hitters because they are the most interesting people in the organization right now. Take me through Luke Keeschel, what you're seeing. How is he handling the mind games that major league pitchers will throw at young hitters once they have some success? And the biggest question is what we're seeing here real?
Yeah, that's always the question with a young hitter, isn't it? And someone comes up, and we, painfully reminded of that. But with Royce Lewis, although every other game it seems like Royce is getting closer and closer again. But with Keeschel, the first time I saw him, and I tweeted about this, the first game that I saw him, or one of the first way back when before he got hurt, and. You can learn a lot, you can see a lot, and kind of extrapolate a lot about a hitter by the way he takes pitches. And the reason that's the case is because you see so often, even hitters that are going well and swinging the bat okay, when they take pitches, a lot of times their hands are coming forward, right? It's like a mini check swing. And they start forward, and then something triggers that they're not ready for the pitch, or the pitch is down and away, or whatever it is. But they're out in front with their hands already, even if they take it for a ball. And the ideal is that a hitter will stride with his front foot, and his hands go back into launch position. And then what does he do from there? Is he assuming a pitch? Or is he worried about getting beat on a fastball and the heel comes down and the front heel comes down and his hands come forward, and then he's either going to be taken for a strike or taken for a ball, but he wasn't really ready in position to hit that pitch. And with Keeschel, right from the start, he goes up there against big league pitching, and when he's taking pitches in launch position with his hands, and his front foot is casual. Not jumping out there, stomping out there, trying to catch up with fastballs, and he's in launch position, ready to hit when he takes, and that is something that you only see in the best of hitters, and he's consistently that way. Number one, and that's the most impressive thing about it that I've seen. And number two, he is not way out in front of breaking balls very often. So what that means, what to be taking pitches in launch position means he's seeing the ball. He's comfortable, he's casual, he's confident, and he's seeing the ball early. And all those things add up to, then you look at, okay, what does the ball do when it comes off his bat? Plus it's positive. How able is he to get to two strikes and look like he has some kind of plan with two strikes, plus, positive. Everything about the kid looks like it's real. To a long-winded answer, once again, to your question, it looks, every day that I see him, it looks more and more real to me. So we'll hope that that's the case, because it's fun to, for a guy at at this age to come up in his first year and look that real is pretty cool.
Yeah. Boy, I can't add anything to anything you said. He also seems to have the right combination of fire and composure. I know fans so often want baseball players to act like football players, but it doesn't work that way. You need fire looks great. Emotion looks great. But you also you have to be composed, and you have to be composed enough to let your brain work a little bit too. And it seems like he has the right combination of those traits.
That's a really, really good point. It maybe even a better point than you think. It's because there is a fine line to walk between those things, and he's an exciting player. He's fire. You can see the emotion that he has. You see the joy and the excitement that he has just to play the game of baseball, and that's another thing that I love about him is he really, really wants it. Right? He wants to be good. He wants the team to be good. He wants to do something to contribute, and at the same time, to your point, to your excellent point, he's not only composed. I think part of what you're saying about composure is it doesn't look like he gets he's fired up when good things happen, but doesn't get overly so in terms of then what's going to happen when they're not going well, when things don't go well. It's like, okay, he's obviously mad, but he's not devastated, right? He's just I will get him next time, right? So I think that's a really great point. He's got a great baseball personality in that way, it seems to me.
How much does his fielding have to improve to feel good about playing at second base every day?
I think it has to improve day to day, right? He's got to get. I think the talent's there. I don't think that he's going to be a bad defensive player by any stretch. I think he's good enough to play second base with his offense, and I think he has the ability and the mental toughness and the desire to get better and better. There are things that you look. I look at. Eddie Julian, for example, when he's playing second base, and his hands and arms to me always seemed tense.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a relaxed, flowing nonchalance about the ball coming into his glove, right? And it always looked like he was fighting the ball. And he has made some good plays and some big league plays, but it never, even when he makes the plays, it never looked. And you've seen countless good defensive players and how effortless and relaxed it looks because their body is relaxed and their hands and arms are really relaxed as the ball's coming into fielding position. And there are a lot of guys that aren't like that, and that's when I always say I just don't know. I don't know if that's going to get better. With Keishel, I don't see that. I think he needs to, he's been moved around the field and done, played different defensive positions. And if I were he, I would work really, really hard on defense at second base here in the off season. Even go play a little bit of winter ball, if that's the best way to, to get reps or the best way to work hard at defense. Because I think he has a talent and the makeup to be better and better each year.
I'm sure you've come across, well, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing you've come across players in your career who just were great fielders because they were great fielders. In my experience, the people I've read about, the people I, watched growing up, the people I've talked to in the big leagues the last 35 years, I mean, almost all the good fielders are people who just kind of got obsessive about it and took 1,000 ground balls a day, or as a kid threw balls against backstop, against the steps until they could catch the ball coming off at any angle, and I just never got the sense that Julian was going to spend that kind of time with the glove.
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't look like he did. I mean, I'm not going to say that he didn't, but it doesn't look like he did. I agree with you. And you're right about, fielders can be made. There's no question about it. Justin Morneau was not a good fielder at first base when he first came up, and he worked his ass off and he became a very good fielder. I think Corey Koski was the same way. Not a great fielder at third base, made himself a very good third baseman. And there are there are lots of indications of that. Lots of guys that have done that, to your point, and those are two examples that jump right out at me. And I think if a guy has got the basic makeup, depending on how hard he's willing to work, he can make himself an excellent defender, and that's kind of where I think we are with Keishel.
Yes. All right. Episode 1285 of How's Royce Looking This Week? And listen, first of all, let's enjoy the good stories as they arrive, even in a difficult season. Royce grew up in Southern California. His father was a chef. His father used to keep, basically volunteered to keep the restaurant open and stay late. So Angels players like Tim Salmon could come in late after a game, eat a nice meal without, having to sign autographs. When Royce's father decided he wanted to open up his own place, a bunch of those baseball players bankrolled him. Royce ended up being around a lot of ball players there. He ended up playing high school games at Anaheim Stadium, whatever they're calling it now. So for him to go back in his first game there, hit 2 home runs with all of his family members and friends in the stands, that's great stuff. Now let's move on to the practical baseball part of it. Was that another Royce is getting it moment? I mean, do you see anything different? What's different in the nights where he's crushing the ball and the nights where he just takes an 0 for 4?
Yeah, it's hard to know from television, for me exactly, but I don't think things have. I don't think the analysis of it has changed a whole lot. When his mechanics, as he is striding into the ball, get his hands into position and then fire at the ball in a where the big end is in a straight line, straight path to the ball, it's really good. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of strength. When he squares it up, it's going to jump. When the big end lags a little bit because of his, I think, natural hitting motion, which is just a little bit long on occasion, then it's not so good. And what happens is what's going to happen with Royce. I mean, one way or the other, he's either going to fix a little loop in the big end of his bat on a consistent basis so that he doesn't have to be as concerned with catching up big league fastballs, or he's not, right? And there's going to be, if he doesn't fix that, if he doesn't get to his swing being simple, a simple movement of the big end of the bat to the path of the ball, then he's going to be inconsistent the way he's been this year. When you see flashes of, the brilliance that he was in the last year or two, and then he's going to see flashes that keep his batting average at 234 or whatever it is. So it's very simple to see how good the swing is when he hits two home runs, and very simple to see, what is going on when he's going 0 for 4. And I just think it comes back to mechanics and fixing that one little deal. And if he does that, then I think everything else that goes along with it. Okay, I'm going to look for certain pitches, or I've got a 2-strike approach, or I'm going to cheat on a fastball on this one, and all of that stuff is going to take care of itself on a day-to-day basis once he knows in his mind that he can relax and catch up with big league fastballs without having to manufacture anything artificial.
All right, let's get to pitching next. We do want to thank our sponsors, including OnX Maps and OnX Hunt. Have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that? Or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs. That's where OnX Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using OnX for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, OnX Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download OnX Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Thanks also to a great sponsor, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic Home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz.
And here's Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
All right. We know that it's going to be Pablo, Joe Ryan, and Bailey Ober top of the rotation next year. At least that's my expectation. I'm not sure who's going to be the bullpen. I'm sure Cole Sands will be out there rubbing somebody's shoulders and picking up middle innings, but I have no idea who else is going to be pitching out of the bullpen. Now you have, for the fourth and fifth rotation spots, even before we start talking about deeper prospects, you have Festa, Zebby, Bradley, Abel, Simeon Woods, Richardson. Of those five guys, who are you liking right now? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, we're talking about inconsistency, right? I mean, we're talking about the consistency of Keishel, compared to, all the other hitters for the most part, except for Buck this year, and Jeffers to some degree. But then on the mound, it's just a consistency factor again. I think you throw Bailey Ober out of that discussion just because of it's just been a bad year. He hurt his hip, and nothing was the same after. Still is not the same. Let's just throw that one out and assume that he's going to be back in form next year. So the top three you mentioned are pretty good. After that, it's inconsistent. I mean, Festa looks like okay with that stuff. If he can master location with all his pitches, that stuff's got to work, and it works really well sometimes, and then it just doesn't. And the pitchers are going to be like that, but we're talking about inconsistency. We're not talking about one-offs. We're talking about good game, bad game. Simeon Woods Richardson is exactly the same way. Zebby threw a gem the other night, a little while ago. I don't know if it was last start or the one before that. Really good, and then all of a sudden, in Anaheim doesn't work. So I'm not really sure about that. I like Bradley's arm an awful lot. Haven't seen him pitch enough. And again, there's a little bit more forgiveness with Bradley so far because it's just a few games and he's brand new and young, and okay, that is what it is. But with the other guys, you think, okay, who's going to step up and say, any team would like to have this guy as a fourth starter or a fifth starter. And I know Lavelle, thinks highly of all three of those guys and thinks they're really deep in the rotation, but I'm not convinced yet. I just haven't seen any of those three string together 3 games, even if they lose, string together 3 games, 3 starts in a row where it's like, okay, This guy's going to give you a chance every time out there.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's an open competition for all these spots. What is interesting to me is that it almost reminds me of Red McCombs used to get ripped on a lot for saying that the training camp drama was like one of the greatest dramas in sports because people playing for their right, and people teased him because obviously he's trying to pump up preseason games, but there's also some truth to it. You had people who are either going to be in the NFL or they're going to be working a Jiffy Loop, and I just look at this open competition for the bottom of the roster spot, bottom rotation spots, and all the bullpen spots, all these young arms. This is a tipping point for a lot of careers. Not that anybody's career is going to be over if they aren't in the rotation or aren't in the bullpen to start next year. But let's put it this way. This is the best opportunity a lot of these pitchers are ever going to have to say, okay, I want to be in a major league rotation. I want to be in a major league bullpen. They're begging me to do it. Now would be a good time to do
it. Yeah, now would pretty much be the time, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly the point. And another stellar one by you today, because they're not playing to win the division. I mean, they're playing now for a spot in the rotation next year to be the however many guys there are in the competition in the spring. There's two guys that could step up and be the lead. Someone have taken away from me in spring training type of situation, right? I'm gonna go out there and if any of these guys would string together 3 good starts, go out there and take the bull by the horns and put together three good starts, they're in. I mean, they've got the inside track for spring training, and as long as they don't give up 12 runs a game in spring training, they're in the big league rotation. And no one has been able to do that yet. And you're right, their careers won't be over. The whole process is just going to start again in spring training, and you kind of hate to go into spring training and say, well, maybe a couple of guys will step up now, because then you don't really know. They didn't do it here with kind of not careers on the line, to your point, but importance in their careers, and no one's been able to do it. And so spring training games are not going to be, you can get excited about how somebody pitches in spring training, but once again, you're going to go into April not really knowing, okay, when the bell rings and they step across the white line to get to the mound, what are they going to be like? Because spring training doesn't really mean that much. So I wish for these guys, any and all of them, just go out and shake it up, take the bull by the horns, as the old timers used to say, and no one has done that.
True. All right. One quick note, and we'll get on to our Booze and Blues segment for the day. Let us not forget that Byron Buxton is having the kind of year we've been dreaming about for a long time. And also, this is a reminder of how much people love round numbers, because he's probably going to end up with like 35 home runs and 23 stolen bases. And somebody is going to express dismay that he didn't become a 30-30 player. 34-23 is a way better season than 30-30.
Yeah, well, it is. And it just, what 34-23 for him would mean is, 30-30 is a walk in the park. I mean, if he wanted to steal another 7 bases, he'd steal another 7 bases. That's just, it's not like, I wonder if this guy could get to 30.
Right.
It's not a question. If he wanted to, he could steal 40. So, for me, for Buck to get to 30 home runs and any number over 20 stolen bases, when we know what he's capable of doing, on the base paths, it's as good a year as anybody's having. And not anybody. There's some huge years going on, but that is a superstar year. And it doesn't need to have the mythical nameplate put on it, 30-30.
Right. And if you wanted to steal 30 bases, all you'd have to do is steal third base once a month, and that would get him there.
Yeah, which
he could do very easily.
I talked with Maury Wills. I talked with Lou Brock. They told me 2 things. First of all, 2 things that are not the case anymore. So these guys both, over 100 steals in a single season, top 3 in stolen bases all time, kind of guys. And Maury told me two things. Not the case now. Stealing second base against a left-hander was way easier than against right-handers, and stealing third was the easiest one of all.
Yep.
And the only reason he didn't steal third more often is because the game didn't call for it, right? I mean, you have to pick your times. But Lou Brock told me the same thing. I'd rather steal off left-handers. Every once in a while there'd be a left-hander for each of these guys. Okay, I'm not really reading him as well, but for the most part against left-handers, it was a walk in the park for them to steal second base, and it's not the case now. Everybody now, if a guy throws left-handed, the whole park just shuts down. Well, he's not going to steal.
Yep.
And that's just so funny, so odd to me, because when it was an art, when stealing bases was an art, they as soon as the left-hander picked up his leg, they were gone. They knew exactly. They saw stuff. They studied stuff and saw stuff, and the left-handers had no defense against those guys stealing on them. And it's not the case anymore. Nor is stealing third base.
Yeah, well said. All right, let's move on to our Booze and Blues segment. Again, thanks to everyone who listens, everyone who sponsors the program. Thanks so much. We have 3 Viking shows. We have Russo on hockey, Krasinski on basketball, Don Mitchell's interview show, Mark Rosen's Sports Monday, Randy Shaver's high school football show, and Kevin Gorg, Randy Shaver on fantasy football. Check it all out, plus our outdoor content. We do appreciate it. Anything top of mind for you for the Booze and Blues segment?
I haven't been drinking a lot of bourbon lately, or tequila, to tell you the truth. I've been kind of quiet and sipping on some wine once in a while. So I don't really have an awful lot of the booze part of that, and I am really in a rut in terms of music for you, because I've got a couple of blues lists that I've made that I think are really special, and every time I have a chance to listen to music, I go, well, I'm just going to put one of those on again because I like it so much. So I'm not helping you, but did I mention the Sturgill Simpson song to you guys?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So the only, and this is country blues at its best. This is I suggested I Don't Mind by Sturgill Simpson to a friend of mine the other day, and he wrote me an email about it. He said, "Oh my God," he said, I hope this isn't true. I hope he didn't write this about his own life, because I'm going to be really, really sad." And I said, well, I don't know if he did or not, but I'm a guy that loves Rip Your Heart Out, great songs. And, there's, some come to mind, like, Stevie Wonder in All Love is, All Fair in Love. And I'll Blame It on the Sun, and those some Little Anthony and the Imperial, some Smokey Robinson. They just rip your heart out songs. I love them. This is a country rip your heart out song, and the lyrics of it are adult and intelligent and very, very real. And if nobody listened to it as a result of my telling you about it before, I hope you go out and listen to it, because it is some kind of good.
Well, what I'll offer today, we also get back to the most underrated bands and artists in history. I still have a list I want to get to, but you prompted something to I was listening to Smokey Robinson talk recently, and the song "Tracks of My Tears." This is back in the '60s, writing pop songs, trying to get on the radio play, and he uses a reference to Pagliacci, an opera singer. An opera. This is a deep thinking dude. He said, "Tracks of My Tears." He thought of that song like he kind of had the melody. The songwriting process is beyond me. It's like, when I hear about how people put songs together, Billy Joel woke up in the morning, and this happens to great artists all the time. What was the River of Dreams, which is an incredible song. He woke up one morning and that song was written in his head, right? So Smokey Robinson is working on this melody, and he's working on this idea, and he doesn't have a title. He doesn't have a hook for it. And a pop song without a hook is just, it's nothing. And he's looking in the mirror, and he just thinks about tears running down his face, and he's like, and that's how Tracks My Tear is. I'm blown away at how great artists come up with the stuff they come up with. And I've also heard of artists who are prolific songwriters who go years without producing anything because they got to have the muse, they have to have some inspiration, they have to have that subconscious working in the right way, or they just can't produce anything.
Yeah, it is amazing. That I agree with you about the songwriting process, and it so oftentimes there's two parts of it, right? I mean, a lot of times people have a melody in their head, and then something it triggers a lyric or two in the enterprise song, and oftentimes it's here's a poem basically, right? He's writing feelings and emotions, and as he talks this out loud, through the poem, all of a sudden the melody just comes to him like in a flash, like it's and the whole thing writes itself from that point. And boy, it's something that I'm talking about without having any clue how that is done, but it clearly happens that way.
Yeah, and one of the Elton John, one of the greatest artists in history, had. The way he worked is Taupin would give him lyrics. And if you read Bernie Taupin's lyrics without any music to them, they can be a little funky, a little odd.
Yeah.
You're like,
what? For sure.
And then Elton John would go in and just create these beautiful songs out of them. And the lyrics, in the context of the way he played the piano and structured songs and built orchestration, sounded just beautiful. And I still don't get that at all.
The same thing. Yeah, the same thing happened with Burt Bacharach and Hal David, right?
Right.
I mean, so Hal David wrote these poems, these songs that, and what I loved about that whole, the same way with your example of Elton John, Bacharach would get these lyrics, and he would create these musical compositions from the lyrics. He was, how did that come to him? And then because Al David's lyrics were, a little bit. I mean, they weren't just the classic, easy meter, easy rhythm poetry, right? There was some funkiness to those too. And then they found Bacharach was able to write some music, and then they found probably the only woman in the world that could hit the notes in the sing those lyrics. And hit the notes that Bacharach wanted to hit, and Dionne Warwick. I mean, it's like, so that was a triumvirate made in heaven right there. I mean, you think about some of the songs that they did and how she hit some notes, from, you would think being breathless to being able to hit that note, and because of Bacharach's music, and you go, okay, this is three-way genius going on right here.
Amazing stuff. We could go on, but we'll save it for another show. Appreciate you listening. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week, and we'll still be talking about Twins young players trying to win roster spots.